Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to another tutorial series here. Going to do something different. Going to try and get into a bit of character modeling. Doing low poly stuff in 3D Studio Max. Let me swap over to show you an example of what we have already done and what we'll be creating today. If you hear any strange sounds, I'm recording this from work, so apologies if you hear any other chatter or anything else along the way. And I'm not using my usual microphone, so apologies for the audio quality if it's any different. Let me show you what the final product will be today. We're going to create this little low poly but still quite nice looking hand. We are going to create it just from a very low poly cube to start with. We will create the fingers separately and model those up, and then we'll attach those to the main body of the model. I might split this into two parts if the modeling gets complex. So let's just get started. I've tried a few methods of this, as you can see here. This one seemed to be the best. I took the start for this, the initialization, off another video on YouTube. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I will try to give you a link to that as well. So we're going to take this step by step and follow along this flow. I want you to start with a box. We are just going to create a simple little 2 stacks tall box, so 2 height segments. Like so, and we're just going to try and get the size roughly like what I have in this little hand here. Doesn't need to be perfect because we are going to right click and convert to editable poly. Now what I suggest you maybe do is look at your own hand and measure sort of the height and the width of it. That might help. I am now going to just with edit poly mode, go to vertex mode and just try and recreate this shape. You can see here this one, I'm just going to pull in use my move tool here, pull in these verts just to create this this angle, like so. Then I'm going to go to my polygon mode, select this polygon, extrude that out just a little bit. That default 10 centimeters is fine for now, and we'll just move this up like so, and we will rotate that just so it is pointing more straight out. We'll also just scale this. This will be the thumb that we're working on. Pulling out the thumb first of all. We'll just scale it in a little bit. I'm just using those bottom 2 axes. There we go. Now this might not be exactly perfect compared to this one, but we'll recreate as best we can. Large part of this tutorial is going to be just sort of pushing and pulling and prodding wee things into slightly better space. So here we are, that's step 1 complete. That is going to be the base model of our hand. So let's just move it along here. Let's see, what do we do in stage 2 here? That one is pretty much the same. So let's move this over to stage 3, and we are going to add a turbo smooth to this. So just in our modify list, we'll come all the way down to turbo smooth, and there you'll see the result we get. Slight bit different. Let me actually just hide a lot of this stuff up here as well so it doesn't get in our way. Slight bit different to the demo model, but not too bad. If needs be, you can always pause the video and go back and just make a few wee adjustments. I think I'll leave that as is. I'm going to just right click. No, we'll do this the proper way. I'll add another edit poly modifier on top. That way we're not making a destructive edit. And we will move this down along the line here to number 4, I believe. And with edit poly, I want to go to my polygon mode, and I'm just going to select this top little chunk here. Just going to delete it completely. Bye bye. And that will leave us a little hollow top. I'm going to go to my edge mode, and I'm going to select these opposite couple of edges and bridge these together. Just hit the bridge command, and then bridge this one out here to here. Bridge, 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 just to create the top there again. And seal that hole. Then on the bottom, I am going to select a couple of these polys. I believe it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to just extrude this out. Extrude down the way like so, just to create the wrist. Now what we can do is, based on the initial shape, this is still a little bit wonky looking, or a little bit sharp in this corner, so we're going to round that out a bit nicer. Going to go to my edge mode, shortcut key for that is 2, and I will just see if I can get a better angle here. Move that one out the way like so, and I will move this one, this back side here that's still quite sharp, move it in the way like that, just to create more of a rounded wrist shape. I can, depending on what I want to model this for, I'm probably going to attach this to an arm or have it inside a sleeve or something like that. So I don't really need these. It's up to you whether you want to delete these or not. But I'm going to delete them just to clear a bit of space. And then I will bring, let's see, we'll go top level just to bring you over here to our next step. First thing I want to do is match up the bottom of the wrist here, just to smooth that out. We'll go to our vertex mode and we'll just do a wee selection, make sure we get all of these, and we are going to scroll down here on our modify panel until we get down to this little XYZ. These are our align tools. Now for whatever reason the first one never works. I think it should be aligning them in the Z direction. There we go, that works. Sometimes it can go a little bit funny. If you click this and it does something like that, you've just hit the wrong axis. Just press Ctrl Z, oops, and try another one. In this case it was Z axis, got that correct. We can have a little play with some of these other verts here. Just bring that down a little bit, smooth them out. If you see they are looking a little bit jagged, we'll just start to smooth a few of these out as we go. And also what I want to do is, let me just move this a little bit closer here. Nope. If we look on this one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 segments on top. We currently only have 1, 2, 3 here. So we are going to go to our modeling tools. If you don't see this ribbon, it might be closed up like so. Click the little show full ribbon. Take your time. Here in the modeling tab, we've got a great little tool. I use it all the time, called Swift Loop. Activate that. Click it to toggle it, turn it on. Then we are going to come between these two, and you'll see if we hover in between, it's going to add another loop of edges right in the middle. So I'm just going to add that in there. Actually, now I think on it, I might undo that just temporarily. I want to move some of these edges over a wee bit, and it's better if I move these ones first. Edge mode, yes, there we are. Better if I move these first over this way, just to even this out a bit more. And maybe move these ones. Maybe on this side, on the back side, I'll move these ones over this way to create a bit more of a square shape. And I'm just looking here to compare the two. Maybe I need a little bit more width on that hand and a little bit less depth. So let's just select these, press F3 for wireframe, just like these four. And we'll just move them in a little bit. And what else? Maybe just take that whole side of the hand. F3, if we take this whole side of the hand and move it out just a bit, give it a little bit more size to that palm of the hand. F3 just to toggle on the wireframe. Also, in case you didn't know, F4 toggles on our wireframe overlay. So there we go. Let's now add that extra line with a swift loop like we just done. Toggle swift loop on at the top here, and we can add that in like so. Now remember to deactivate a swift loop, because Max will just want to keep adding in more and more swift loops. So there we are. That is the start of the palm of our hand. the next thing that I would do now is start to make my fingers. So I'm going to take my little hand here, I'm going to right click and go to top level, just so we're not in sub-object mode. I'm going to move this down here, and we'll tweak the shape more, and we'll position the finger. So let me model the finger for you here. I'm going to show you two versions of the finger, one of them with a fingernail, one of them without, and allow you to then pick which one you want to go for depending on the complexity of your model. We're going to start with a cylinder, and we're going to make it quite small and narrow and thin, and I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees so it's flat. I've got my angle snaps on here just to make it a little bit easier to rotate. I'm going to rotate it exactly 90 degrees. Oops, there we go. And the settings that I want for this are radius of 1.2, yeah, that's fine, I can work with that. The height, again, your mileage will vary depending on the time or the size of hand that you're modeling. This one's about 15 centimeters. That's grand, I'll leave it at that. Height segments, I only want 3, 1 for each knuckle, and sides, I want to lower this down to 8. This will look quite low poly, but we're going to add a turbo smooth to it later on. Same as with the hand here, we'll add a turbo smooth to generate a lot of the smoothness and detail. We actually want to work on as low a poly as we can get away with. So there's step 1, we've initialized our little segment. Now, do I want on the end, yes, I don't want any cap segments here, but I'm going to convert this now to an editable poly. I will delete this little segment, and on the far end I want to connect up these, let me see if I go top level, just select this one. I want to have the other finger have this kind of shape on the end, so that we can then taper it as you see here. So to do that, what is our best way? Let me just, I'll hide this first one. I will try and move this closer just so we can get a better look. So we want 3 verticals, and then we'll connect these. So we go to our edge mode. I want to select this and this, and just hit my connect button in the modifier tab. This one and this one, connect. This one and this one, connect. Now to get that horizontal line, so we have 3 vertical lines here. Let me just change the color on that cylinder, it's kind of hard to see. There we go. I'm going to select U, U, and U, and once again just connect them right in the middle, just one connection, perfect. So that is us complete to there. Let me just hide this guy, hide selection, move you along, and now we want to start adding in a bit of extra detail to this. So you can see here, those knuckles, we're going to chamfer those out a bit more, so we will do that first. Edge mode, we are going to double click and then hold control and then double click again to select both of those rings. We are going to go to our chamfer tool, and we don't need it to be quite as big as that, just a small wee chamfer, maybe a little bit bigger. With now I'm setting this to 2 edge segments on a standard chamfer. Newer versions of Max, the chamfer might work a little bit differently with numbers. I will shrink this down a little bit. But what we want to end up with is 3 lines. We start with 1, we want to end with 3. Might need to change the numbers a wee bit, but if you increase the segments in your chamfer, we should be able to get that. There we go. We also want to add in another swift loop here, here, and down at the end. If you don't want to use swift loop, another way we can do this is edge mode, just select that whole ring of edges and connect. That'll do the exact same thing as swift loop. I like swift loop because although connect will put it right in the middle of the 50-50 point, if we're not too worried about the precise location, we can just swivel a bit and eyeball it much quicker. So there we go, that is that. Let me now hide this guy. Hide selection, move you up closer. And we're going to start to carve in the shape of that finger a little bit. What I'm going to do now as well is I'm just going to save my file. We've been working about 10 minutes. 10-minute save rule, guys, always very important. And we want to start tapering this in something more finger shaped. So because we want to bend the fingers down the way, you'll notice that we have these lines further apart on the top side of the knuckle and closer on the bottom. So let's see. What do I want to do first? That's still quite circular. I'll leave that where it is. I'm just going to take, say, these middle couple of vertices, move them up a little bit. Take these ones and move them up a little bit. And then maybe all the way right up to the middle. I'll get my scale tool, just scale in a little bit here and a little bit more here at the bottom. Likewise here, grab them, just make sure we've got the right ones. Scale a little bit, scale a little bit more. We will leave it like that for now. We'll just take the end here and we will scale this down across, scale this down across these two axes. Just be careful with those. And possibly scale it down a little bit, like so, and just move it up a bit. So we don't want to be right in the middle, slightly up. If you look at your own fingers, hold them out straight, you'll notice that they taper more up the way rather than sort of taper to the middle of your finger. There is kind of more of an upward slant here on the underside where the fingertip is. And we are just going to take a few of these vertices, take these three, move them out a little, and this one, move it out a little bit further, just to round that off so we get a nice round fingertip. Let me see, just compare with what we have. Maybe a wee bit longer here. So I'll just select everything. It doesn't really matter, I'm just trying to keep consistent with what I have in these ones, so tiny little bit smaller, just so it matches up a bit better. So that's that one. We're starting to get some of that finger shape now. If we hide this guy, just so we can get a better look at the one next to it. And you'll see what we're going to do next is just carve that shape in a little bit better, taper those fingers, add a bit more roundness to it. Don't really have too much to do here. We will just, we'll leave the tops of the fingers quite flat. In fact, let me see if I just look at this. We start to have a little bit of a downward taper on the finger, so the back stays fairly steady. Maybe moving that front knuckle down a little bit and the front of the finger down a little bit more as well. So let's just grab everything from here onwards, down the tiniest little bit, then from the knuckle down the tiniest little bit, and maybe from about here, again just down the tiniest little bit. What we also want to do is start having a little bit of this padding, the fleshy underside of the finger. So we'll start to take, let me see, do we have a little bit more detail here? I think we have a little bit more detail on the fingertip. We'll add that in shortly. Yes, we do. We've actually split here. So I'll just take this. I'll just take this line, double click it. We're in edge mode, and we will chamfer this just to split it out. Split it into one segment. A little bit more distance there, just more evenly spread. just so we can take some of these bottom vertices and start to widen these out. We can see now that the back of the finger should start to get a little bit chunkier. So maybe actually move those down. Let's take all of these, just get our scale tool, and we're just going to start to scale it up so that the further back we get, the more scaled up it is. Just the tiniest little amount, barely perceptible, but if we do this a couple of times across the back, it will give us a slightly chunkier finger. So just using the scale tool, just to bulk those up a little bit. There we are. And then I'm just going to take maybe the bottom few polygons, move these down a bit just to create that little bit of cushion. Just again, a tiny amount, really is barely perceptible. And we'll take these few polygons, we just F3, we just really want these bottom couple here, down ever so slightly. And we'll do the same just for the start of the knuckle here, just bring that down ever so slightly. And for this knuckle here. Just helps to create that more, some of those wee wrinkles you can see in your fingers. We are maybe a little bit too spiky here on top, so I just grab these and scale them out a little bit more as well, make that seem less harsh. Here, F3, yes, that's what I want, scale those out. Pretty happy with that. Let's see, take you, maybe lift you up just a little bit. There we go. The tip of the finger here, I want to do a little bit more to it, soften out a little bit, add a little bit more geometry to it. So we will just under edge mode, shortcut key 2, take that, and we will chamfer it. How does that look? Yes, that's okay, that's fine. Just want to split it from one line into two. And we're just going to play with that fingertip and kind of soften it a little bit. We will take this ring, move it forward a little bit, just to bulk that finger out. And let me see, we are still, this little ring here is still fairly straight, but much more blunt on the fingertip. So we're just we're sticking out very far here. So I know that I had myself manually pulled it out that far, but now I'm just correcting that. Those 3 polys, pulling it in a little bit tighter. There we go. Happy with that. Let me just compare. See how our shape is looking. That's not too bad. Might not be 100% perfect, but it'll do fine. Now, if we take this off, we can see this finger has smoothing groups, this one does not. We can add smoothing to it later when we attach it to the full hand. We will save our file again, why not? 10-minute save rule. And at this point, we could use this finger. This would be okay for low poly work, but we are going to... I'm just going to show you now this last little bit how to add a fingernail to it, and that'll round out the video, and then we will finish off the modeling in part 2. So I'll just show you, you can stop modeling the finger here and move on to the next video if you want. If you want to add the fingernail, we can do that as well. So let's hide this little guy. Let's move you along, and maybe we can bulk this out a little bit as well. Just now I'm thinking it. Are we in the correct scale mode? Yes, we are. Just think that's very kind of narrow on the front end there. Just a little bit of bulk, that's not too bad. So let's take this front ring here, which is going to be the base, kind of like the nail bed. Move you forward a little bit. And we will, let me see, just pull this pixel, or sorry, this vertex back slightly to kind of round off that nail bed, just a little. And although we don't do it until the next step, we're just going to round out the front a little bit as well. What I also want to do, just to match this one, I'll just widen this fingertip just ever so slightly. Again, it doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to match into my previous one as best I can. If I recreate that, my this line is still a wee bit too far back for my liking. I'll just move it a bit further forward to give us a more square nail shape. So what we want to do then to get that nail, once we've kind of arranged these 4 polygons in a general nail shape, we actually want to put in a tiny little extrude vertically down the way. So 10 centimeters up is too high. You just want the smallest little extrude just down the way, literally by 1 millimeter. So 0.132, that's too much. Let's just go 0.1. There we go. In fact, maybe even 0.8. 0.08, sorry. Just get that tighter. There we go. That is us done to there. Hide selection. Let's move down to our next step. The fingernail is quite finicky to get correct. We are going to now take these 2 edges at the front here, and we're going to move those back slightly and move them up like so, just to sort of give us a nice little area that will be, imagine under your fingernail where you would catch a little bit of dirt. That's what these 2 little lines are going to be. So we're going to have a little bit of a fold going on here. That's too far forward. That's okay, that'll do grand. And then what we are going to do, let me see, let's hide this guy. We're done with him. Hide selection. Move you over just to compare. Maybe sort of back up a little bit. We are going to extrude the top of this again. Oops. A very small amount. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It might still be selected. Extrude it just again the tiniest little amount up the way this time. So maybe the same amount upwards. 0.08 perhaps. Hit enter to apply that. Maybe even not that much. Let's go 0.06. Okay. And we are going to just take some of these back lines. Press 2 on your key or click edge mode. And we're just going to take this little line and this little line. And because we extrude it down, then extrude it up, there is a bit of geometry in between there. We'll pull these forward. And we're going to just have to do a bit of vertex manipulation here. You can see it's starting to kind of clip through. So in vertex mode, we'll just take this front one and we'll just lower it down flat. So it's kind of continuing on that nail bed. We'll take this one. We will pull you in. And this one, we will pull you in. So let me see, do I want any of these other guys? Yes. We'll just take a couple of these other vertexes. This one's kind of hard to see. I'll bring it in as well, just so we can see that the side of the nail bed is a little bit better. And likewise on this side, just the size of the nail bed just in a little bit. You can see that. Now we could, if we wanted to, maybe raise up these very deep lines here, just so they're a bit less deeply buried. Might be a bit easier to unwrap them then as well. Just bring them in a little bit. Don't worry about getting everything too precise. We are never ever going to see these, really. Let me see, how are these looking at the front then? We just want to maybe taper these in a little bit. Yes, we'll just bring on the very corner of the fingernail here. We will bring them in a little bit, and then the top one alone, just in a little bit. Same on the other side, the two vertical edges here. Bring them in a little bit, and then just the top one, angle it in just slightly. And that is, I think, what I want to do for this step. So we're sized a little bit off, not too worried about it. And I've pulled those out a little bit further than they maybe need to be. Maybe just move them back a little bit more, keep them tighter in there. That's okay. So just a couple more steps to go. We will now hide you, hide selection, move the whole thing over here. So it's not an exact recreation of the finger because it's such an organic shape, but I'm not too worried about it. Just really, we're just doing some fine tuning at this point. Maybe, oh, wrong one. Take this guy, rounding out these fingers a wee bit more, and so it looks like we're just kind of squaring off that nail a little bit, making it a little bit wider. So if I take, let's see what's the best way to select these. If I take all of these vertices, just make sure it's just the ones at the top of the fingernail there. Scale them out just a little bit wider, just to square that fingernail a bit more. Maybe do the same with these ones. Just to, again, square that nail out a little bit. And let me see, have we started manipulating this any at all? That's still the same. It's really just little tweaks at this stage. Just eyeball it and see what works for you. Yeah, we just made that nail a wee bit squarer really there. And then the final wee step, we're just going to add a wee bit more detail to that nail. Move you over here. So let's just compare both of these. You can see we've got an extra wee bit of geometry running through there. Just down from the top surface, just down in here. Okay, so how do we do that? We are going to just select you, and our easiest way to do this is actually just select, still select those top four, and then you, and we will just, actually before we do this, we want to extend this fingernail out a little bit more. You can see here we want to have the fingernail extended over the fingers. So I'm going to, before doing anything else, take this and this and this one just down slightly. Maybe just move it in a little bit as well. And then the end of the fingernails, just select those, and with our old friend extrude again, just bring those out just the tiniest little amount. Give it a little bit of an overhang on the finger. There we are. So we're still looking a little bit square there. Now we want to select a few more of these surfaces, and we'll have to try and hook in around underneath. Wee bit difficult to get in there. Try and angle your camera, and just select all of this front little portion of the fingernail. And all we're going to do with that is the inset key, or the inset command. We're going to click the settings box. Don't worry if it does this, it's just because we've inset too much. We just want a very, very small inset. Let me see, maybe a little bit larger than that. Let's try 0.2 centimeters. That's giving us a wee bit. Yeah, we can work with this and then we can fix it. So it gives us a wee bit of strangeness happening on top there, but we can fix that. Just a wee bit of shuffling about. Let me see, we want to take that fingernail. Let's press F3, go to our vertex mode. It's kind of hard to see what's happening here. If I rotate around this way, we are kind of okay where you are. Maybe put it a little bit more. But it's these kind of backward ones we want to fix more. Let's take you and you, move you forward a little bit. And let's take these two guys and these two, so we can see where that kind of really steep angle is coming from. Move those up. That'll help to get rid of some of those weird angles that we're seeing there. Some of that weird sort of shading with polygons. We can maybe raise those, and in fact we'll just take you and you, raise just a tiny little bit more. These are kind of bent in the way. We want them to bend out the way, more like this. So we will bring you all forward slightly. Give us more of a fingernail appearance. A little bit of weirdness happening on the inside here. I think we've got a vertex or two needs moved up. That one needs to come down. Maybe this one needs to go up. There we are. I wouldn't worry about getting 100% perfect. Use wireframe mode if you need to. Move that one up. And this one up. And there we go. Fingernails are a little bit awkward, but there we've got a really nice fingernail shape. Sort of hides in to give us the raised nail bed at the back and the overhang. We can maybe just play about with some of these other vertexes as well, just to round this out a bit better. Maybe take you and leave that alone where it is, just to even these out, get rid of some of these things. Now you can see we've got a little bit of the triangulation happening here because those planes are no longer flat. If we really want to fix this, we can go to our freeform tools and go to relax and soften. We will set our strength. You'll see how big this tool becomes. That's how much it's going to relax and soften. So we're going to set the size from 20 just down to 1. Get it much smaller, and the strength, whoops, from, oh, it's being funny for me here. It's not liking this. There we go. Maybe try that. Pull that down. Strength to about 0.2 maybe. And if we just give a couple of little, whoops, relax and soften. We will try to very, very gently do this. So gently. If I go too hard, it'll do too much. Don't want to go that hard. I want to just very gently. Just the slightest clicks and drags, just to try and get rid of some of that triangulation. It's not even working there for that one. But I'm not too worried. I'll put a turbo smooth on, I'll put my smoothing groups on, and it'll be fine. Let's just do one final wee comparison. We can maybe just fix a couple of these. Move forward a little bit. Yeah, do you know what? I'm not going to agonize too much on this now. You can fine tune as you go. We'll just pull you in there, pull you in a little bit. I think that'll do us for now for this bit of modeling. As I say, if you didn't want to do the fingernail at all, you didn't have to. We're going to stop the video a bit earlier. It's just for that little bit more detail. Top level, that looks okay to me. Let's hide selection there. That leaves our final finger, along with our little piece of hand that we made earlier on. So maybe we need to rescale these and fix them about. Let's leave the video here, and we will finish off the rest of the model in part 2. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you very, very shortly. Oh my god, 40 minutes. That took a lot longer than I thought.